The spaceport was crowded with noise, lights, and strange languages. Ships from all corners of the galaxy came and went. Tall aliens with armored skin walked beside tiny floating creatures. Everyone had a place to go. Everyone had a purpose. Then, a man stepped off a rusty cargo ship. He wore plainclothes gray pants, a soft jacket, and boots that looked too clean for travel. His skin was pale, his hair short, and his eyes calm. He carried no weapon, no armor, and no fear. His name was Bram, and he looked completely out of place. The Galactic Union Arena wasn't a place for tourists. It was a place for warriors, soldiers, monsters in battle form. No one came here by accident. And when the dock workers saw Bram step onto the platform, they stopped what they were doing. Another human, one of them whispered, a tall bird-like alien with sharp red feathers, looked soft. His hands, said another. A lizard-like worker with shining green eyes. Look, no scars, not even a scratch. They all laughed, not out of hate, but because they'd seen it before. Humans came to the arena once in a while, full of dreams. Most left quickly. Some never walked out again. Bram walked slowly through the hall, past the recruitment center. His gaze was steady, and he didn't seem nervous. That made them laugh even more. In the main hall of the arena, a large screen showed highlights of the reigning champion Korok, a massive four-armed creature with tusks and armor fused into his skin. He crushed his enemies like toys. In the last match, he had broken a stone giant's back with a single slam. People cheered when they saw his face. Bram watched silently. Inside the intake office, a short gray robot with glowing eyes waved Bram forward. Name? Bram. Species? Human. The robot paused. Purpose of visit? To fight. This made the robot's lights flicker for a second. It looked up and scanned Bram from head to toe. You have no combat marks, no training records, no sponsor, the robot said. You don't appear armed. I don't need weapons, Bram said calmly. Just my hands. A buzzing silence followed. Then the robot slowly stamped the paper and passed it through the slot. Very well. You will begin in Class 5 and ranked. Entry level. First match begins tomorrow. Bram took the paper and nodded as he stepped outside. A few recruits from Class 4 noticed him. One of them, a large blue-skinned alien named Sir, walked over with a smirk. A soft hand. Sir said, looking at Bram's fingers, "You're here to polish floors or to fight?" Bram didn't answer. He just walked past. Oh, he's quiet. Another laughed. Maybe his voice is as weak as his arms. Sir leaned forward. Look at these. He held up his hands covered in scars, cracked at the knuckles. These are fighters' hands. These tell a story. Bram looked at them, then at his own. Yes, he said quietly, but sometimes soft hands hide a louder story. Sir narrowed his eyes but said nothing more. Later that day, in the training sector, Bram was assigned a room in the lowest level. Barracks. He had one bed, one locker, and a steel floor. No window, no comfort. It was not meant for long stays. He sat on the bed and opened the small locker. Inside was a basic uniform and a pair of gloves. The gloves were stiff and heavy, meant to protect the hands of fighters. Bram didn't put them on. Instead, he stood up, walked to the center of the room, and touched the wall gently. The wall, made of reinforced metal, shivered under his fingers. Just slightly, a small dent appeared where his hand had been, from a nearby hallway. A young medic named Tala was watching the monitor. She was assigned to observe new recruits for medical issues. Most of her time was spent watching creatures fail their first fights. She leaned closer to the screen. That shouldn't happen, she said aloud. The metal had shifted from a simple touch. No force. No punch, just pressure from fingertips. Who are you? Bram, she whispered. That night, while other recruits laughed, wrestled, or boasted about their past fights, Bram sat alone. He didn't train. He didn't shout. He just watched. Some noticed him and whispered again. He's going to get crushed. Won't last a rounds. Bet he won't show up tomorrow. But Bram heard it all and didn't blink. Outside, above the arena, the stars were quiet, and somewhere in the highest chamber, Korok the champion trained in silence, unaware. That someone new had arrived, someone with soft hands, and a reason to fight. The training hall of Class 5 was cold and wide, lit with flickering lights. Rows of machines stood on one side, and simple practice rings were on the other. This was the lowest level of the Galactic Union arena where fighters with no records or respect began their journey. Bram stepped into the hall at sunrise, wearing the plain uniform given to him. He walked with calm steps, hands tucked behind his back. Most of the others were already there, striking heavy bags, lifting metal blocks, or sparring in pairs. They looked at Bram the moment he entered. "Hey!" Soft Hand showed up. Someone shouted. Laughing, a few others clapped slowly, mocking him. One of them, a tall insect-like alien named Drek, pointed at Bram's clean gloves. "Didn't even wear them?" Drek said. "Maybe he doesn't want to hurt his pretty fingers." The group chuckled again. Bram simply walked to the empty mat and stood still. The day's instructor, an old battle-worn alien with silver skin called Jarn, arrived and blew a whistle. "Form a line," Jarn shouted. "This is not a playground. You're here to survive or fail trying." Everyone stood in line. Bram stood at the end. Jarn walked down the line slowly. "You are the weakest of the weak. No one cares about you. You earn nothing here unless you fight for it." He stopped in front of Bram. "You, human?" "Yes, sir." "Name?" "Bram." Jarn stared at his hands. "No weapon, no gloves, soft as butter. You here to dance or die?" Bram held his gaze. "I'm here to learn." Jarn snorted. "We'll see." Training began with simple drills, footwork, dodging, balance. Most of the recruits pushed hard, trying to impress or intimidate. Bram moved slowly, focused. He didn't look strong. He didn't look fast. He looked quiet, to slow. Jarn barked. Others shoved past Bram, bumping him on purpose. Drek even stepped on his foot while passing. "Sorry," Drek said, smiling wide. Bram didn't react. Later, the group moved to drone combat. Drones with light shocks were released to test reflexes and reaction speed. Each fighter had 60 seconds to dodge and strike. When Bram's turn came, Jarn looked at him with a sigh. "Go." The drone zipped out. It buzzed in front of Bram's face, testing him. He didn't move. Then it struck toward his shoulder. Fast dot in a blink. Bram's body shifted just a few inches, and the drone missed out another strike, this time from behind. Again, Bram moved just enough to let it pass. He wasn't fast like lightning. He wasn't jumping or spinning like others. But he moved with purpose, clean, simple steps, precise. Some recruits started to notice. Jarn narrowed his eyes. "Continue?" At the 40-second mark, Bram raised a single hand and tapped the drone. It dropped to the ground, sparking lightly. Disabled. He walked back to the line without a word. Drek watched him, no longer smiling. In the hallway above, Tala, the medic, was watching the screen again. She sat with a tablet, tracking heart rates and health signs from each recruit. Bram's chart confused her. No adrenaline spike, no stress signals, no fatigue. She whispered, "Like he's resting." She tapped the camera feed to zoom in on his hands. Still no bruises, no marks. How is that possible? She saved the recording and marked it for private review. Later in the day, sparring matches began. Fighters were paired to test their skill. Under pressure, most went wild, swinging, shouting, trying to win quickly. Jarn called out, "Bram versus Drek." The group cheered. Drek grinned and stepped into the ring, flexing his arms. "Ready to break something soft," he said, cracking his fingers. Bram stepped into the ring without emotion. "No weapons," Jarn warned. "No death, just control." "Understood," Bram replied. The whistle blew. Drek rushed forward with a loud roar, aiming for Bram's head. Bram stepped aside. Drek turned and swung again. Missed. 3 more punches. Missed. Bram didn't strike. He just moved. The others laughed. He's scared. But Jarn was no longer laughing. He was watching closely. Bram finally raised his hand. One quick movement and tapped Drek's chest with his palm. Drek flew back 5 feet and hit the mat hard, coughing. Silence. No one clapped. No one spoke. Jarn stared at Bram, then spoke. Slowly, winner. Bram. Bram nodded and left the ring. That evening, Tala waited outside the training hall. When Bram walked out, she stepped forward. You're different, she said. Bram stopped. I'm the medic, she explained. I've seen hundreds of recruits. You're calm, strong, but you don't fight like the others. I don't fight to prove anything, Bram said. Then why are you here? He looked at her. To remind them what humans are. She blinked. What does that mean? He smiled gently. You'll see. Then he walked away into the dark hallway up in the arena's top tower. Kork was watching replays of his own fights. His team of trainers prepared meals and set up the next challenge. But a small alert beeped on the screen. New combatant file. Opened. Human. Class 5 of Bram. Kork glanced at the name. He didn't care. Not yet. The arena buzzed with noise. Giant screens showed highlights from famous fights. Names of top fighters flashed in bold colors. Alien visitors moved through the halls, buying food, cheering, and betting on matches. For them, this was entertainment. But for fighters, it was everything. Deep inside the arena tower, Kork, the undefeated champion, sat in his private training room. His skin was like armor, thick and gray with deep cracks that told a history of war. His forearms moved with power as he trained, each punch causing the air to shake. Kork didn't smile. He didn't talk much. He didn't need to. Everyone feared him. Everyone respected him. His trainer, a small one-eyed alien named Marn, approached. With a data pad. We have something new, Marn said. Kork didn't stop punching. A human. Marn continued. Name, Bram Class 5. No record. No rank. Kork paused. Just for a second. Let me guess. He said in a deep voice. Another weakling. Marn chuckled. Yes, but he beat Drek today. With one touch, Kork turned his head. Drek is all size, no skill. Still, Marn added, others are talking. Even the council heard. Kork walked over to the screen. He pressed a button, and a short video of Bram's sparring match played. It showed Bram dodging smoothly and ending the fight with a single palm strike. Strange, Kork muttered. He moves like he's not even trying. Maybe he isn't. Marn said. Kork snorted. Challenge him? I'll face him. Publicly. Marn blinked. You want to fight a Class 5 recruit? Kork turned to him. Not a fight, just an exhibition. A reminder. These people need to remember who the champion is. Meanwhile, Bram sat alone in the Class 5 dining hall. The room was noisy, filled with fighters eating, laughing, and trading stories. But Bram stayed quiet, eating a simple meal of grains and vegetables. Tala. The medic entered with a message device in her hand. She walked straight to Bram's table. You've been challenged, she said. Placing the device in front of him, Bram looked up. By who? She tapped the screen. Kork's face appeared. His heavy voice followed. To the human named Bram, I offer an open match in the grand arena. No weapons, no death. Just strength against strength. I expect your answer. The message ended. The room went silent. Dozens of recruits had heard it. Drek, still rubbing his chest from the earlier fight, laughed loudly. You're done now. Kork doesn't lose, another recruit shouted. Say goodbye to those soft little hands. But Bram just looked at Tala. When? Tomorrow. She said quietly. Midday. He nodded. I'll be there. News spread fast. A Class 5 recruit, a human no less, would face Kork in front of a full crowd. Everyone wanted to see it. Some expected a quick end. Others thought it was just for fun, a show match. Bets were made. The crowd grew. Workers prepared. The grand arena for the match. Inside the medical office, Tala stared at Bram's report again. Everything about him confused her. No heart spikes. No signs of panic. Strong muscle readings. But not the kind that showed on the outside. She pulled up a scan of his hands. There was something odd. Bone density to high, skin layers denser than normal, but still soft, still human. She leaned back in her chair. Who are you, Bram? That night, Bram stood in the small training room near the barracks. He faced a practice dummy and moved slowly, breathing in and out. He struck one softly. The dummy's chest cracked open. He sat on the floor and closed his eyes. Back home on Earth, he had been trained in secret. His family belonged to an old path, a forgotten art that taught power without anger, strength without pride. He had come to the stars not to win, but to show. Tomorrow, he whispered, they'll understand. The next day, the grand arena was full. Over 100,000 spectators filled the seats. Creatures from every part of the galaxy watched as the fighters entered the ring. Quark stood tall, all four arms flexing. His armor gleamed, and the crowd chanted his name, Quark, Quark, Quark. Then Bram entered, no armor, no crowd behind him, just soft steps and quiet eyes. Boos echoed from one side, laughter from the other. He's going to get crushed. Why is he even here? Bram walked to the center of the ring and bowed his head. Quark stepped forward. I've fought monsters, machines, and warlords, but never a human with hands like silk. Bram raised his eyes. Then today is your first. The bell rang. The grand arena fell into silence as the bell rang. A single sound, clear and sharp. It marked the start of the match between Bram, a quiet human with soft hands, and Quark, the undefeated champion of the Galactic Union. The crowd leaned forward. In their seats, some laughed, some watched with doubt, a few looked curious. No one expected a real fight. Quark stepped forward first. His four thick arms moved like tree trunks. His feet shook the ground. His armor clanked with each step. Bram stood still. No armor, no weapons, no fear. Quark grinned. Move, human. Show me you can dance before I end this. Bram didn't answer. He simply blinked and shifted his left foot slightly, barely a step. Quark took it as a challenge. With a roar, he charged. The first strike came fast, a downward punch from two arms at once. It was strong enough to crush a wall, but it hit only air. Bram had already moved. Just a step to the right. Quiet and smooth. The crowd gasped. KO. A rat growled and spun, using his lower arms to sweep at Bram's legs. Again, Bram stepped aside. Like wind slipping through cracks, 3 more strikes followed, each faster, harder. All missed. Bram hadn't even lifted his hands. Up in the VIP box, Tala watched with wide eyes. Her hand shook as she held her tablet. He's not just fast, he sees everything before it happens. A council member beside her frowned. That's not normal. Not for a human. Not for anyone. Down in the arena, Quark was growing angry. Stand still, he shouted. He slammed all 4 fists into the ground. The floor cracked. Dust flew. The shockwave knocked several people in the front rows back. When the dust cleared, Bram was still standing. Unmoved, calm. Quark stared at him. For the first time in years, the champion felt unsure. Bram finally raised one hand. Just one. Open palm. Relaxed fingers. Then he stepped forward. Quark raised his guard, expecting a fast attack. A blast of power. A wild swing. Instead, Bram moved gently, placing his hand flat on Quark's chest plate. Nothing happened for a second, then crack. The armor split down the middle. A clean line, silent, but strong. The crowd gasped again. Quark stumbled back, touching his chest. The plate fell off into pieces. How? He muttered. Bram spoke for the first time during the match. His voice was soft but clear. Your armor is thick, but not deeper than weakness. Quark roared and charged again, this time in full rage. No holding back. No caution. His arms swung like hammers. His body moved like a storm. And still, Bram dodged, not with speed, but with purpose, every move perfect, every step small and sure. Then came the moment. Quark lunged forward with all 4 arms wide, hoping to grab Bram and crush him. Bram let him come close. Then he stepped inside. The attack. In a flash, his hands shot out. One grabbed Quark's top right arm. The other gripped the lower left. Bram twisted. The sound was not loud, but it was clear. A pop, then a crack. Quark screamed in shock and pain. His 2 arms dangled uselessly, broken. The entire arena froze. It had happened too fast, too clean. Even the announcers were silent. Bram let go and stepped back. You wanted strength. He said, "But you never understood control." Korok, now on his knees, stared at Bram with wide eyes. His body trembled. From the council seats, one of the high generals stood up. "This match is over." The official voice echoed through the arena. "Winner, Bram of Earth." The crowd didn't cheer. Not at first. They were too stunned, too. Confused. Then, slowly, applause began, from the upper levels, then from the middle. Then it spread like fire. Bram didn't raise his hands. He didn't smile. He just bowed slightly and walked toward the exit. Tala rushed down to meet him. "You could have broken all his arms. You could have ended him. Why didn't you?" Bram looked at her. "Because I'm not here to destroy. I'm here to remind." "Remind who?" "Everyone." She looked at his hands. They still looked soft, ordinary, human, and yet they had defeated a galactic legend. Back in the center of the arena, Korok was being lifted by medics. He stared at the ceiling in silence. In his long career, he had crushed beasts twice his size, defeated machines, and outlasted armies. But he had never met hands like Bram's. News of the fight traveled faster than any ship. Every screen across the galaxy showed the moment. Bram, the soft-handed human, breaking Korok's arms with quiet strength. The strongest warrior of the arena had been defeated not with rage, not with weapons, but with perfect control. People didn't believe it at first. Some called it a trick. Others said Korok had gone easy. But the full video showed the truth. And the truth shocked them. Across space stations, colonies, and warships, species who once laughed at humans now sat in silence, watching the fight over and over. The Galactic Union had seen many battles, many champions, but never a human like Bram. Back in the arena, Bram returned to the Class 5 barracks. The room fell silent when he entered. All the fighters who had mocked him now stepped aside. Even Drek lowered his head and said nothing. Bram opened his locker and sat on his bed as if nothing had changed. But everything had changed. A few moments later, the door opened. Tala, the medic, walked in with a group of officials. One of them was a high-ranking council member named Rail. Known for his cold eyes and sharp voice, "Bram of Earth," Rail said. "The council requests your presence in the High Hall." Bram stood up. "Why? You've broken a rule no one expected," Rail said. "You've changed the balance." The High Hall was a large room made of silver walls and a glowing floor. The 10 members of the Galactic Arena Council sat in a row. Their faces were serious. Their robes dark. Tala stood to the side, quietly watching. Bram walked to the center of the room and waited. Rail stood. "We have a problem, human." Bram said nothing. "You have shown strength beyond your class. You defeated the champion with ease. Now, fighters from across the galaxy are questioning our ranks, our system." Bram finally spoke. "Your system was built on fear and size, not skill." A few council members frowned. Rail's voice sharpened. "And what do you suggest? That we rewrite the arena because of one human?" Bram looked up. "I didn't come here to change rules. I came to show truth. Truth. That strength isn't always loud. That control matters more than chaos. That humans were not weak." The room grew quiet. Tala stepped forward. He didn't hurt Korok out of pride. He stopped when he could have done more. "That's not just strength, that's wisdom." Rail stared at Bram. "And what do you want now?" "A title. A crown." "I want training," Bram said. "For others. For humans who will come after me. I want you to stop laughing at soft hands." The room stayed silent. Then, an older council member with golden eyes spoke. "Let him speak freely. Let him show others what he knows." Rail looked displeased, but he nodded. "Very well, Bram. You will be allowed to train, teach, and continue. But be warned, many are watching now. Not everyone is pleased." Bram bowed slightly. "I'm ready." In the days that followed, Bram became more than a name. He became a message. Recruits from other classes came to watch him train. Some asked for lessons. Others just watched from the shadows. He never shouted. He never showed off. He moved quietly, teaching balance, breathing, and purpose. Even Drek came one day. He stood in the back, unsure. Bram saw him and waved him forward. I mocked you, Drex said. Yes, Bram replied. I was wrong. Yes, Bram said again, but with a small smile. Drex stepped onto the mat, ready to learn meanwhile. In the medical tower, Tala continued her research on Bram. She looked deeper into his blood, his muscle structure, his past. She found nothing. Strange. No special power, no secret weapon, just a human body. But still, those hands, that calm, that force. Maybe, she whispered to herself, this is what strength really is, far above the arena. On a distant moon, a hidden station watched the events closely. Inside, a group of silent figures in dark robes studied the recordings. One of them, tall and thin, pointed at the screen. This human has changed the flow. If one can do this, others will follow. Another nodded. It is time. Time for what? Asked a third. Time to test him. Back in the arena, Bram stood alone in the ring again. Not to fight, but to think. He looked at his hands, still soft, still clean, yet now feared across the stars. He bent down and touched the floor. The metal was cold, strong, but he had felt. Stronger things break. Suddenly, a voice echoed behind him. You're not finished yet. Bram turned. It was K.O. Arak. His arms were in strong braces, healing slowly. He walked with effort, but his eyes were clear. I came to thank you, Korok said. For what? For showing me something better than strength. Bram nodded. You were a great fighter. I was allowed one, Korok replied. But you fight like stone that sings. They stood in silence for a moment. Then Korok said, they fear you now? I don't want fear. Bram replied, then be ready. Korok warned, because those who fear may soon come to fight. The days after the hunt were peaceful. Milo walked through the Velari village, watching children play near the river and warriors sharpening their spears in the shade. The jungle was full of life. The crops were growing. People smiled when he passed. Some even bowed lightly and called him Kor. He had grown used to the name. Jetta stayed close. She helped translate, guided him through customs, and taught him the small signs that showed respect in Velari culture, like touching the heart before speaking or bowing slightly when entering someone's shelter. Milo was not just an outsider now. He was part of the tribe. But peace never lasts long. One morning, the sky changed. A long silver streak cut through the blue, glowing brighter than any bird or beast in the sky. A ship, not a Velari one, sleek, metallic, and fast. Milo's heart dropped. That's a corporate scout ship, he whispered. Jetta looked up, her eyes narrowing. Yours, yes, he said, from Earth, or at least from one of our companies. The ship circled once and landed near the edge of the forest. A few Velari gathered on the cliffs, watching silently. Milo knew what was coming. He walked toward the landing zone with Jetta beside him. The tribe's elder and a group of warriors followed, quiet but alert. The ship door opened with a hiss. Out stepped 3 humans in clean white uniforms and one in light armor. They looked around, scanning the area, then locked eyes on Milo. Engineer. Milo Dane. The lead officer asked. Milo nodded slowly. That's me. We've been tracking your signal. You disappeared 5 months ago during a survey mission. I know, Milo replied. My ship crashed. The officer looked around. You've clearly survived. I did more than survive, Milo said. I found something important. Here, people, a culture. The second officer, a tall woman with a serious face, checked the scanner. This moon has high mineral levels in the lower crust. Very rare, very valuable. Milo frowned. You came for the minerals, of course, she replied. The company sent us to retrieve you and gather data. If this planet is rich, they'll start extraction soon. Jetta stepped forward. What are they saying? Milo translated slowly. Jetta's expression turned cold. They want to break the land. Yes, Milo said. Unless we stop them. Back at the village, Milo met with the elders. They will return, he said. With machines, with drills. They will dig into the heart of this moon. They won't care who lives here. The elder closed her eyes. We have seen such things before. Long ago, when the sky people came, You fought them? Milo asked. We hid. Many died. Jeddah stood. We fight this time. We are not weak. Milo raised a hand. We can fight, but we need a better way. If we use only strength, we may lose everything. He looked out at the jungle, thinking, maybe we can talk to them, reason with them. Jeddah gave him a doubtful look. Will they listen? I don't know, he admitted, but I have to try. The next day, the corporate team returned with 5 more crew, the scout drones, and a heavy Land Rover. They set up camp outside the jungle. Machines buzzed and lights blinked. They scanned the rocks, collected samples, and ran tests. Milo approached the commander again. You need to stop, he said firmly. We're just scanning, the officer replied. We haven't touched anything yet, but you will, Milo said. You know this land is full of life, and not just plants and trees, people, families, a whole culture. They're not registered as a protected species, the woman said flatly. There's no law stopping us. There's me, Milo said. The commander folded his arms. You're a missing worker. You have no authority. I'm their alpha now, Milo said. I speak for the Velari. That made the officer pause. Then I suggest you don't get in our way, he said coldly. Because if you do, you'll be removed. That night, Milo and Jeddah sat by the river, watching the lights from the corporate camp shine through the trees like tiny stars. They won't stop, Jeddah said. I know, Milo replied. But we're not helpless. He stood and took out his old toolkit. If they want to see what humans can do, we'll show them. Jeddah smiled. The Alpha returns. For the next few days, Milo and the tribe prepared. He repaired old Velari traps, linked them with small sensors and signal alerts. He taught the warriors how to use motion detectors and simple EMP devices. Jeddah led the patrols, scouting the camp and watching the movement of the humans. They didn't attack, but they made their presence known. The drones began failing. The rovers got stuck in unexpected pits. Equipment was moved or vanished overnight. Then, one morning, the commander woke to find a message carved into a large stone near the camp. This land breathes. Do not cut its heart. The final warning came when a heavy drill was lowered into the ground. Milo stepped into the camp, standing tall between the machines and the trees. You dig that hole, he said, and I'll shut down every system you brought. Nothing will work. Not your scanners. Not your drones. Not your ship. The officer laughed. You think we're afraid of sticks and vines? No, Milo said. But maybe you should be afraid of a jungle that listens. As if on cue, a low growl echoed through the forest. Shadows moved in the trees. Eyes watched from every branch. Jeddah stepped out beside Milo. She held a spear, but behind her stood dozens of warriors, silent, ready. The commander looked around, then slowly lowered his hand from the drill controls. Pull it back, he muttered to his crew. Later, back in the village, the elder nodded in approval. You spoke with calm and power, she said. Not war, but strength. Milo sat beside the fire. They won't forget this, no, Jeddah said, and neither will we. He looked at the stars above. The Velari had no voice in the galaxy. Until now. The sun rose slowly over the Velari jungle, casting long golden rays through the tall trees. Birds sang in the canopy. Water flowed softly in the river. Life moved with quiet power. Milo stood near the edge of the village, watching the human ship lift off. The engines hummed, but not as loud as before. There were no drills, no scanning drones, no machines digging into the land. They were leaving. For now, Jeddah stood beside him. She didn't smile, but her face was calm. They fear us now, she said. Milo shook his head. Not fear. They respect what we showed them. You gave them a choice. They chose peace, for now. Yes, Milo said softly, but others will come. That afternoon, the tribe gathered near the great tree in the center of the village. The elders sat in a circle, and behind them stood the warriors, the hunters, the children, and the healers. Milo was invited to speak. He stepped forward. He wore simple clothes, but across his chest was a band made of green leaves and river stones, the symbol of an alpha in Velari tradition. I came here by accident, Milo said. I was alone, lost. He looked at the crowd. But you saved me. You taught me your ways. You trusted me. Jetta watched from the side. Her arms crossed, but her eyes warmed. Milo continued. I'm not the strongest. I don't know every custom, but I care about this land, about your lives. I care enough to stand between you and danger. The elder rose slowly. Her voice was old, but strong. You are not born of this tribe, but you have earned your place in it. You have healed, protected, and listened. She reached out and placed a carved wooden piece around his neck. You are Villari now. The crowd let out a deep, echoing sound, a song of agreement and honor. Milo bowed his head. Thank you. Later, Milo and Jetta walked through the forest. Puffs. The wind was gentle. The trees whispered above them. You could return to your people. Jetta said quietly. I could, Milo replied. But you don't want to. He smiled. They know I'm alive now. That's enough. But this place feels like home. Jetta stopped beside a tall flower, its petals glowing softly in the shade. You were not born here, she said, but the forest has accepted you. Milo nodded. It grows around me. I understand it now. They walked in silence for a while. Then Jetta asked, will they return? Maybe, Milo said, when they find out how rich this land is. They might send others. But next time, we'll be ready. Jetta touched the blade of her spear. They'll see we are not weak. Milo placed a hand gently on her shoulder, and they'll see we are not alone. That night, a new fire was lit in the center of the village. It burned high and bright, not for war, but for unity. The people danced, sang songs, and shared food. Children painted their faces with glowing berry juice. Elders told stories of past heroes and now included Milo among them. He sat beside Jetta, sipping a warm drink made from tree bark and wild honey. He looked around, amazed at how far he had come. He was no longer just an engineer or a lost traveler. He was part of something greater. As the fire burned low and the stars filled the sky, the elder approached Milo one last time. There's something you must know, she said. He looked at her, curious. The last time the sky people came, many of our people were taken. But one tribe survived. They went deeper into the forest. They kept our ancient knowledge safe. Milo leaned in. Where are they now? The elder pointed to the dark mountains far beyond the river. They wait, watching. If danger comes again, we must reach them. I'll go, Milo said without hesitation. Jetta stood. Not alone. The elder smiled. Then tomorrow, you will journey together. The Alpha must meet the old blood, the hidden ones. At sunrise, Milo packed his small bag. He wore the wooden necklace, carried a crafted Villari blade, and brought a small tool from his old ship. Jetta wore leather armor and carried her spear. As they stepped into the deep jungle, the tribe stood behind them, silent but proud. The elder raised her hand. Walk with the trees, speak with the stars. They not a dot, and then they were gone. The jungle ahead was thick and full of sound. Strange birds flew above. Hidden creatures moved in the shadows. But the path was clear. Milo walked with quiet confidence. Jetta moved like a shadow beside him. They had a new goal now, not just to protect the tribe, but to find the old wisdom, the secret allies, and the roots of something even deeper than tradition. Milo was no longer just an outsider with soft hands. He was a symbol, a bridge between worlds, and maybe, just maybe, the beginning of something far greater.